the deal, man? PolitiKan The Podcast, man. We back again here at Rigamortis Studios in downtown San Bernardino. We got all your studio needs, man. Podcast, recording studio, green screen, photography, whatever you need, man. We finna politic right now. We got Psycho Sloth coming through, man. Introduce yourself.
I go by Psycho Sloth, the Manic Maniac, the Lucid Lunatic. I'm from Pomona. We in here. What's good?
What's the deal, man? So the Psycho Sloth, where does the name come from?
My homies kind of started calling me Sloth because, you know, we'd be smoking heavy back in the day and shit. And I'd be take my time with a lot of things. Be like, you're slothing right now. I'm like, you know, just kind of me. So I just kind of went with that, and I'm into like metal and like horror and that type of shit. So like Psycho, kind of like I threw that on there because it's like also me, and it's just like I wanted the name to be to really like represent who I was, and I just believe you should take a lot of time to make decisions, important decisions, and like so like it goes hand in hand with sloth. Sloth way.
So who won the race? The tortoise or the hare?
Tortoise, always.
Exactly.
Always.
So people don't understand the moral behind that story.
Exactly.
So, the metal, I know that you're a rapper.
Yeah.
I just heard your single, what was that? What was the single?
Freakiest Flexor.
Yes, Freakiest Flexor. I was just knocking out earlier. So, that's
Appreciate
more like, it's more like a trap vibe to me.
Yeah, for sure.
So you say that you're into like the heavy metal and that type of background. So it's like, how did you get into rapping if you're into heavy metal?
I mean, I was kind of into both. Like I grew up listening to like one of the first bands I discovered was System of a Down, and like they're like my all-time favorite. So kind of like listen to music in that area, like Korn, Slipknot, and like that type of stuff. But I also like was listening to like mixtape Wheezy, Heavy, and like all those artists at the time inspired me too. Like Wheezy inspired the style and stuff, and like the metal inspired like the cadence and like the aggressive delivery basically. Like I feel like it's kind of like in Freakiest Flexor, you could see that like some of the bars are like kind of growly, like kind of aggressive. So like that's where that comes from. I think like both sides influence me a lot, like artistically. So they both have a role.
So Freakiest Flexor, is that typically like your sound, or is this just the sound for the single?
I mean, I don't like to. It's hard for me to describe my sound because I like delve out into different subgenres and styles. Like I have some boom bap tracks that I'm working on. I have some like real like horrorcore stuff like Freakiest Flexor and Baphomet, which I dropped a couple years ago. And then like I also have like some singing, auto-tune, like melodic music as well, so I kind of branch out. So I don't know, like I mean, yes, it is definitely my style. Like I consider that like one of my most me songs, Freakiest Flexor. So to answer your question, yes, but like a lot of different styles are also my style.
Just talking about style, I'm looking at the way you dress, man. The jewelry, you know what I'm saying? Got the glasses popping, got the earrings, you know what I'm saying? What inspired the style?
A lot. Like metalheads always wear like silver and silver rings and like stuff like that. That's kind of what inspired this, as well as like rappers, because they're always blinged out. Like I saw the videos that Wheezy was dropping back in the day, and like I got some babes. You know, like it's inspired by like the current fashion and culture at the time, pretty much, and also like the LGBT community also inspires the style a bit as well.
To go into that, so what do you mean by that?
I just feel like my style is kind of like, it can be feminine and masculine. Like it's the way that inspired me is that I don't really see any clothes as having a gender. Like, I don't believe, like I can wear any type of clothing, and I don't believe it's only for women or only for men. I believe that anybody can rock it if you believe in your style and your sauce.
Because I remember at the Soul Sesh, when you had a flower in your hair.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll slip bars with a flower. Yeah, bro.
That's a signature thing, the flower with the earring?
Nah, always the flower. Just like, I kind of like switch it up, try to, you know. I'm real expressive in my music and like the way I dress all the time, so it just allows me to, you know, show the world who I am in a different way.
I love the confidence, man, because a lot of people are conforming nowadays to try to fit in or to try to portray a certain image instead of staying true to themselves, you know?
Sure.
So I love when I meet people and they know exactly who they are and who they want to be, you know, and stick to that, you know?
Yeah.
That's a rare thing that you run into these days.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
After Freakiest Flexer, what's coming up next? You just gonna ride that train? You got any projects coming up?
I mean, I got a list of songs that are ready to drop. I just gotta make sure they're sent off the right way, you know. But yeah, I do got a couple projects I'm working on. There's this producer, Hella Sketchy, that I made a small EP with. Then my homie Norman produced an entire project for me. I got like more than a dozen songs with him, so that's gonna be called Dark Epiphanies. That's probably the next project. Don't quote me, but yeah.
Okay, so you still in the booth cooking up right now, huh?
Yeah, just whenever I can, I'm like always writing, creating something.
Oh, we got a bunch of artists. We got some in-house producers, man. We gonna have to collaborate on something.
Yeah.
Something out.
Let's
Get you on a beat or two.
Always willing to create, man. That's what it's all about.
Awesome. So, seeing you perform at the Soul Sesh, when is your next performance?
Actually, it's tonight.
Word?
I'm performing at this show called Nightmare on Soul Street. The homie Namaste Souls, Trippy Bone, he's throwing a show, and he got me on there, so it's gonna be fun. It's a costume party.
It is
Halloween. It's gonna be dope, very lit, yeah. Then I'm performing on Halloween night in Pomona at the Alley Gallery, and that's gonna be a dope event as well. So also costume friendly. So yeah, we're just doing it the spooky style for these next few weeks.
So if people want you to perform, how do they contact you? Do they just jump in your DMs, or do you got some type of...
By all means. Nah, I do it all myself, but I mean, I have an email for that. Should be on my Instagram bio, like one of those buttons. Or you can like DM me as well. I'm real open. I'm just trying to, you know, expand, perform different cities, you know, make new connections. So, yeah, I'm all for it.
So are you... you mentioned Pomona a few times. Are you IE based or are you LA based?
I've been Pomona my whole life basically. So, I mean, that's like a conversation that a lot of people have. It's like, is Pomona technically IE? I mean, like I kind of feel like it is.
I feel like it is too. I feel like that's the line right there.
Like,
you know?
I don't think of like LA people when I say IE, obviously, but I think of Pomona people as more IE than LA. I mean, but yeah, all the IE homies out here are
majority
cool.
of the Inland Empire parties and clubs are located in Pomona. So even if you consider it LA, if you're out in Pomona, you're running into a majority of Inland Empire people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So it's just a
to me, it's IE.
So it's a lot of talent brewing out here in the IE, man. And especially like the life that's coming into downtown San Bernardino and the surrounding areas. It's like within the next 5 years, man, we're gonna be just as booming as a downtown LA will be. You know what I'm saying? And that's the goal, is to bring life into the Inland Empire, because it's a lot of talent and a lot of people that are movers and shakers that people don't know about. And that's why I have this podcast, to bring in people like you to show the world, like, hey, you know what I'm saying, the Inland Empire got movers and shakers too, and
Absolutely.
we out here doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, agreed. I was just bumping Cam Gnarly on the way here.
No, for real. I actually met him at it was Orange County at the Orange. What is that? I can't think of the venue.
Something Mike's, Original Mike's or something.
No, it's the observatory.
Observatory. Oh, okay.
I went there to see Currency.
Yeah.
And I met Noah
he
James,
and Noah
and I
were there,
met
yeah.
Gnarly there. And he
Sure.
killed it. And I was like, man, who is this guy? And then seen him after stage, you know, shook his
Shout out
hand.
Noah and Cam.
You know what I'm saying? Chopped it up. I chopped it up with Noah too. You know, I got to get them both on the podcast.
For sure.
I forgot all about Gnarly. I met him that day at the Currency. He was
Yeah.
like, he was one of the openers. Noah James too.
Yeah.
And Noah James killed the stage. And
Oh,
for
yeah.
a big guy too, his stage presence was killer, man. And I was like, who is this? You know, my boy M16, he's an IE rapper, man, so he's real close with Noah James. He was telling me a story about how him and Noah James freestyle battled, man, and it was just a real interesting story, man, where they kind of met each other and was like, hey, man, I'm the hottest nigga. And he was like, nah, I'm hotter than you, you know? And it just
That's
ended
dope.
up being like a whole battle where they met each other.
That's
You
good.
know what I'm saying? We need to bring some type of like music festival or indie fest out here where we can showcase all this Inland Empire talent. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
with it.
Definitely.
For sure.
So, what besides music, what are like your hobbies?
I like to play sports here and there, basketball and soccer. Not seriously, just fucking around.
So, are you in tune with the new NBA? Have you watched the
I
music?
watch opening day.
Oh.
The Lakers. Clippers.
So you're a Laker fan? I hope not.
I mean, yeah. I've been a LeBron fan since
I'm a
the
LeBron
beginning,
fan.
so I kind of
Yeah.
gotta support wherever he goes.
I'm a LeBron fan.
I'm not
I'm a
gonna lie.
Laker hater. So
Mm.
I gotta hate
How that
LeBron because you know, like, I'm a Clipper fan.
Oh.
I've been a Clipper fan
Oh,
for
no.
probably the last 8 years now.
Oh no.
So now that we finally got a team together, man. I was a big Chris Paul fan, so when he got traded over here, I came with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin.
Okay.
You know, that was my squad, Lob City. Lob City was them days, man, where I thought we had a real chance at winning the championship, but it never happened. And then when they got rid of Chris Paul and then they got rid of Blake Griffin, I was like, man, what are they doing? But now it all makes sense because Kawhi is that man. And we haven't even seen Paul George return yet.
Exactly.
So it's going to be real dangerous this year.
That was a tough game.
I know.
Yeah.
I seen
good in the West.
also I'm seeing the Rockets, man. Russell Westbrook and James Harden. You know, they both LA, you know, California dudes, man. So I'm loving that all these California pairings with Paul George and Kawhi and with the Clippers, and Russell Westbrook and James Harden with the Rockets. You know, those are my two picks. You know, preferably.
Okay.
So you grew up more of a Laker fan?
No,
LeBron
see,
fan?
I mean, I was a fan of a team in baseball and basketball, but I just like to see good basketball when it comes down to it. Like, I'm not like out here booing other teams and stuff. You know, like, I don't think to me it wasn't that serious. But I mean, I liked LeBron when he started. I know I liked the Cavs and the Heat. Like, D Wade was like my first favorite player, so I always liked the Heat. And then LeBron joined them, and I was like, damn, this could be something.
that was a crazy pairing, man.
So,
D Wade and LeBron. I don't think that LeBron will have that chemistry with anybody else like he did with D Wade, man.
It took some years to build, so yeah, we'll see.
After the first game, he's trying to approach the scenario the same way he did with D Wade, where he deferred for the majority of the first year, you know, and let D Wade get comfortable, and then he came and started to like take over.
Yeah.
And I see him trying to do that same thing with Anthony Davis, try to make Anthony Davis like the man, and then once Anthony Davis gets settled in, then he can, you know, become the LeBron that we know.
Yeah, I'm not worried as like a fan because they need time to gain that chemistry as well, and they need time to work together. So it's just one game.
So do you still think that he's the best player in the world?
LeBron?
LeBron.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I can't. I'm a LeBron fan. I still think that he is better than Jordan. He's the greatest player ever, to me.
You just think not right now?
But right now, Kawhi has announced himself as the best player in the world. Everybody's talking about Giannis being the best player, but Kawhi won multiple championships on the East and the West Coast. Giannis hasn't made it even to a championship yet, so we can't put him on that pedestal and put him over a LeBron or a Kawhi when they both have rings and Giannis doesn't. So I don't understand. Just off of that basis, I have to say that Kawhi, right now, is proving that he's the best player in the world, man.
I'm not mad at that.
And he's from the Inland Empire, from Reno Valley, you know what I'm saying? The best player in the world is from the IE. Y'all sleep, you know what I'm saying? Y'all didn't even know. So when he was in San Antonio, it was kind of, he was flying under the radar. People didn't really see him as who he is. But when San Antonio beat the Heat and he locked up LeBron like that, man, that's when I really seen Kawhi as like his coming out party.
Yep, only one that could do it.
So, politics, you pay any attention to that?
Yeah, it's scattered throughout my music, like messages.
So how do you feel about Trump? Because everybody calls him a racist bigot.
I mean, he is.
And, you know, it's kind of I think that he's arrogant and cocky. I think that when you talk about racism, everybody's pro their own race first. It's kind of crazy. As a black man, I'm for black people first. Everybody else secondary. So does that make him racist because he's for white people first and foremost? He's a white man. You know, what else would you expect? So everybody's calling him racist and a bigot, and if we look at us in our own communities, we're just as bad. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a thin line. Like, why is it so much hate for Trump? Like, I don't understand it.
I mean, he basically did it to himself. He did a lot of shit. Like, made comments about certain races, you know, calling Mexicans rapists and all that. And like, I think racism is more than like words and like slurs. I think it's systemic, and it has to do with who's in control of everything, who's in control of the resources, who's in control of most of the wealth. And I think he's just, if the KKK endorses you, then you're probably a bigot. I mean, let's be real.
They don't just endorse anybody.
But I think he's just a face of something that's been here all along. I think America's always been systemically racist from the jump, and it doesn't begin or stop at him. He's just like the clown that happens to be the face of it right now. But I think behind the scenes, all the laws, everything's just built to control power and keep the power in the wealthy white families that basically control everything. Oil, you know, money, transportation,
currency,
money,
banking.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that rabbit hole runs very deep, and Trump is like pretty clueless on most political things. I mean,
but he knows how to make money.
I mean,
well, I'm just looking at it from my own life. The first president that I can recall is Clinton, and we were broke with him. Then Bush Jr., you know, we had the recession. Then Obama, he tripled the deficit, and now we have Trump, and unemployment's up, the money's up, and we're starting to be in the green. So just from my own perspective, as far as the money, all our presidents throughout my life have basically fucked up the money. And regardless of what he's doing. He's actually controlling the money in a proper manner.
I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with Trump. I don't think he has any clue what he's doing, honestly. But in terms of that, I mean, we're the richest country, but we have the greatest wealth disparity. We have the biggest social gaps between the rich and poverty. There are like so many people under the poverty line right now, despite the fact that we're one of the richest countries, and they always use that like, the U.S. is doing great. Look at how much revenue and capital it has. But when you have like so many people still struggling in that country, so much homelessness, so many people struggling to get food and basic necessities, then like I don't think it matters how the U.S. is doing it. It matters how the citizens specifically are doing. And if all the wealth is funneled to the wealthy, then they're going to keep hoarding it, and the gap's going to get bigger and bigger, and soon it's just going to be super rich and poor. Like, that's it. There's going to be no middle class or no nothing like that. So it really depends on if the people under the poverty line or near it are getting that money. Then that's how I view like progress. Less homelessness, less people struggling to pay their bills, their debt, less people struggling to get an education if they want to. Like, that's what it really comes down to. That's what helps people survive, and that's what people need to do. So, like, I don't really care if Trump's bringing in money for all his rich friends. Like, that's just making it worse, in my opinion.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, I kind of
you don't know where the money's going, really.
I kind of get what you're saying, but at the same time, Obama gave out bailouts to all the big Fortune 500 companies, and that was the first move he did his first term. Yeah, so it's like, every candidate is padding everybody's pockets, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't think that it's any different with Trump, but you can't sit there and point the finger at him, because everybody that has been in that chair, in that position, have put money in the rich pocket and not the poor. So will we ever get a candidate that's going to actually be for the people? Because Bernie Sanders, he talks a lot of like socialism,
maybe
socialist type of programs, but socialism in a capitalistic system is kind of like impossible.
It's all about like capitalism. No president has ever really been able to do what they want to do. It's up to like the people that own everything, like the oligarchs, the super rich, the elite, if you will. They control like the presidency. It don't matter who sits there. Like, there are certain policies, like, one president will lean one way, the other president will lean another, but like in terms of like that major type of like banking related stuff, economy stuff, like it's always going to go their way because they're like in charge of everything.
Well, at the beginning of our government, America is a republic. So technically we're all Republicans because our system is a republic. If you're in a communism, you're a communist no matter what party you claim. That's the system that you're in, therefore So the Democrats broke away from the Republicans because they wanted the same things, but they wanted to go about them differently. So essentially the government, no matter whether you're red or blue, they're all fighting for the same things, man, and it's not the people. You know what I'm saying? They don't really care about us. They care about controlling us. And they want to control us in different ways. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically the whole system of politics. So how do you feel about Hong Kong, China, how they're over there protesting for democracy?
I think everybody has the right to protest, and when you make people mad enough, of course they're going to flood the streets, and I think we should do the same, honestly. There's so many instances of that. There's millions of people around the world doing that right now in different countries. And there's no reason we can't do the same. It just takes some organizing. But I support them for sure.
But is a revolution really the answer? Because if you look throughout history, every coup has been replaced by another corrupt leader, and then a coup has to occur for them. So you have a revolution that gets rid of a system that puts in another system, and then you have another revolution to get rid of that. Mm-hmm. And everybody, how many revolutions are you gonna have before you find the answer?
I don't know, but all I know is like people now are suffering worldwide because of capitalism. So like I think it should be destroyed. Bottom line, just I think that's the root of all this, and like it's like tangled in white supremacy. So I think that's the beast that needs to be killed.
Capitalism itself.
Yeah.
Supply and demand. So a lot of people, technically, monopolies are illegal, but conglomerates are not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that it's a certain way to do a monopoly? That's still a monopoly, you know what I'm saying?
Like,
so
yeah.
It's kind of like, man, it's kind of like they're pulling wool over everybody's eyes. But wool is see-through, so you see straight through their bullshit, you know what I'm saying? And that's why they keep you so distracted with so much entertainment. And this is why entertainers are getting paid more than ever. This is why athletes are getting paid more than ever. And it's because they need to keep you distracted more than ever. Because if you paid attention to politics, you would be like, hold on, wait, this is some bullshit.
Yeah, they don't want us to talk about this. They don't want us to think about this.
And then, one thing I notice about politics is they never talk about money.
Even though that's what it's all about.
They have a 24-hour, they have MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, they got 30 channels that run news on politics 24 hours a day. And not one time on any of those channels that they talk about the money and where it's going. So, you know what I'm saying? I think that all this, everything's just a distraction from what they're doing with our money. They're taking our dollars, man, and they're doing whatever they want with it.
Yeah, sure.
So are you voting 2020?
Yeah, just so Trump don't win.
But we're in a blue state. So technically, a Republican hasn't won California in like 50 years. So with the whole electoral college, I think that in California, especially because that's where we are, we're a blue state. We're gonna vote blue. So we're not voting for Trump, and that's reality. But we do need to start paying attention to these bills that are being passed, because that's where our money is spent. They have to put it into a bill and get us to vote for us to spend their money that way.
That's what affects us in like our local economies and stuff. So yeah, the smaller ones on the ballot, you gotta pay attention to those too. That's like what it's more about.
And I know that Californians aren't paying attention to the bills because grocery bags, we gotta pay 10 cents a bag. That was a bill. Who voted for that? And you go to a restaurant, they're not allowed to give you a straw unless you ask specifically for one. And then a lot of places have like these paper straws, and they make your drink taste terrible. Like you don't even want to drink out of it because it's paper. It's like the more you drink out of it, the more it softens and corrodes, and you can taste it when you drink out of it. So it's like, is California that polluted that we got to use recyclable materials for straws?
I think we should have been using so many more than just straws. There's like heaps of oceans of trash in our oceans.
I know. It's crazy.
But I mean, that's like the tip of the iceberg. The real polluters are like the huge corporations that are dumping massive amounts of like waste and trash into our oceans, but they make it seem like, oh, we're the ones doing it by throwing away a straw. but there's no accountability for these corporations, because they're the ones that control the passing of the laws, so they're never going to be held accountable. So they need a scapegoat for that. So like I do think that's just the tip of the iceberg for talking about pollution. I think more of it has to do with these corporations.
we went to Catalina Island, man, and the water was clear as day, and it was only an hour boat ride.
Yeah.
And then you drive back, and the water turned like a greenish tint, and it's like, it puts in perspective how polluted the water is on our shorelines versus the rest of the ocean. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy how much they dump pollution. But what other option? You can't burn it because of the ozone layer. So, what do we do? Like, I don't know. Recycling is one thing. CRV, they're charging you whether you recycle or not. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, man, it's a tricky game, man. Especially like in big cities like LA, like New York, you know, where the pollution levels are crazy.
Right.
If you go to LA, man, like LA is not a real pleasant place, man. As far as the aesthetics, as far as looking at it, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of things to do, but as far as like the pollution, the smell, and the look of things, like we went to the downtown fashion district, man, and just on the way we drove by like 100 bums. I didn't even know that was Skid Row. Like downtown LA is becoming Skid Row. Like it's crazy. Like I don't know, man. It's a funny thing, man. It's like, where do we go from here, man? Because you touched on the homeless population in America, and to me it seemed like it's only rising more. But they're telling us the reason why is it's overpopulated, and we got too many Mexicans coming into America.
Not true, not even close.
Yes, and when you drive by, like we were driving to Vegas, and we just looked at the whole Sierra Desert. And it's plenty of like rural areas that are uninhabited. So how are they saying that we're overpopulated and we're running out of space in America? You know, it's kind of like, are we running out of the space that you would like to develop, or are we running out of space, period? You know what I'm saying? Like, the people in charge try to sell you a certain rhetoric that's not true.
Yeah, you gotta look past just news, because they're just telling you what they're told to tell you. There's plenty of land and housing to house everybody, including all the homeless people in America. There already is. But that's not going to happen because people in charge, it's not beneficial to their wallet. So I don't think they would ever allow for that to happen unless like legislation was passed, like kind of forcing their hand or something, but it's going to be really hard to accomplish. So yeah, I don't know if that's possible, but it would be nice.
So they're trying to impeach Trump. How do you feel about that? Have you signed the articles?
No, I think I don't pay much attention to Trump, honestly, these days, because there's every other day is just a new scandal. It's like a big media magnet, and it's just like a bunch of random information that's like not beneficial. At this point, I think like he's partly a distraction to like deeper things that are going on. So, like, but I mean, I'm all for it. Get him out of here.
Did you hear that story about when he grabbed the lady by the pussy?
When you said that, yeah. Way back.
I listened to that recording, man, and it was hilarious, man, to me, because it's, to be honest with you, it was just typical man conversation. He was just talking like a man talks to another man. You know what I'm saying? They're probably having a couple drinks. And he was just telling a story about how he bought a chick an armoire and then grabbed her by the pussy. You know what I'm saying? And it was kind of hilarious to me. I didn't understand the big deal. But with the Me Too movement, they tried to turn it into, oh, he's a sexual assaulter.
Well, I mean, you can't grab nobody without their consent, no matter what they buy you.
But the woman didn't press no charges. She didn't even come out.
There's a lot of things behind that. Most assaulters don't get prosecuted or they don't get any punishment when women come forward, but they're still like have to go through the trial, and it's real hard for them, especially when like they're getting intimidated by like the defendants and their lawyers and all that. So like sometimes women don't come forward, but that doesn't mean that they weren't victims, and that doesn't mean like nothing happened there. So like I don't know, I just.
So how do you feel about the Me Too movement?
I mean, I support it because I know it's really hard to come forward with stuff like that. It doesn't help that when someone does, a bunch of people attack that person, especially on the internet. So like I think it's given people the courage to talk about what happened to them when before they didn't see examples of that. They didn't see people doing that, so they felt less comfortable doing it. So, I mean, I support it.
Yeah, man, I support it also, but then at the same time, I've heard a couple of these Me Too's that were ridiculous. Like, a lady came out on Jamie Foxx and said that he dick slapped her, and she has nightmares of the dick slapping her in her sleep, and she's traumatized. Now, that sounds crazy, like.
I mean,
like you having nightmares of a dick slapping you, like that's kind of hard to believe, man. But some of these stories kind of get as far fetched. That was the craziest one that I've heard so far. But I don't believe she's having nightmares of a dick slapping her. But I've never been sexually assaulted. I've never been slapped with a dick. That shit's crazy. Like women are, it's a trippy thing, man. Like I'm not a woman, man, so. Men can be overly aggressive, and that's why, as a man, I've never been that aggressive, especially in situations where it's like sexual tension, because I never wanted to be that guy that was like jumping to conclusions. One time, I got naked, and you know, I asked this girl invited me over after school. You know, I'm 16 years old, so I'm thinking like, oh, she invited me after school, it's going down, you know. So she take me straight up, we go into her bedroom, you know, clicking in the living room or nothing. So I'm like, oh, it's going down. I asked her for a glass of water, you know, and when she went downstairs to get it, I stripped naked. When she came back into the room, man, she started dying laughing at me and then kicked me out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no.
And that was the first and the last time that I just assumed. You know what I'm saying? Made an assumption, you know. And I had to learn the hard way. Just don't assume that these women want you because of these different scenarios, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro. You gotta get a yes.
Yeah.
Nothing else. No nothing. A yes. That's it.
So how do you feel about this new consent law where you have to ask for consent? Is that too far fetched? Because then in the middle of foreplay, for instance, you have to stop and say, hey, do you want this? You know what I'm saying? Would that ruin the moment? Is that, you know?
Yeah, but it's important to make sure both or all parties involved are, you know, consenting, because consent can change. You can start having sex and then change your mind, and then now you don't consent and you want to stop, and then that's something you can still assault that person even though you were already engaged in something. So like I feel like it's important to like protect people, but at the same time it's just like up to the parties involved. Like they know their partner's like signals of consent, for lack of better terms, or words or whatever. Like they just it's up to the agreement that you have with who you're having sex with, basically.
So
I feel like
so no means no.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Some dudes don't understand that. So 2020, you said you didn't have a candidate? Not at all.
I mean, I think the least bad one is Bernie, but I mean, I don't really support anyone like that.
So right now,
none of these politicians.
Elizabeth Warren is the leading Democratic candidate.
I mean, she's cool.
Right after her is Joe Biden, and and then Bernie's number 3. So the chances are we're probably gonna have another woman running against Trump right now.
That's cool. I'd rather have her than Trump. I mean,
The
that's for
first
sure.
woman president, you think she can pull it off?
Yeah. Why wouldn't she?
I don't know.
Trump's a clown. He doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, I at least need someone in there that knows something about politics in the White House.
All right, man. 2020, man. We got to get out here and vote, man.
Yeah. For those small.
I don't really care about you voting for
ballots.
the president, but as far as the bills,
Local initiatives.
and the propositions, we have to pay attention to these propositions.
Check your seats.
Because a proposition is a proposal to spend your tax dollars. That's what a prop is. So you want your dollars, or you want to complain about your dollars being spent somewhere, and participate and inform yourself on these propositions.
Yes,
So,
sir.
One more time, shout out your single and let people know where they can find your music.
Freakiest Flexer just dropped on all platforms. My name is Psycho Sloth. My handles are at Psycho Sloth _ on Instagram and Twitter. You can find my music everywhere: Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Tidal, Apple, anywhere you could find music. Check me out, y'all.
All right, man. You heard the man, Psycho Sloth. Look for him on IG, man. Check out that single, man. We're gonna have to revisit this, man. We're gonna have to do it again.
Yes, sir.
We're definitely gonna have to get you in this booth, man, recording something.
Let's do it.
Send you a beat pack, because we got plenty of in-house producers. So this is
Good.
PolitiKan The Podcast, man. Here at Rigamortis Studios, downtown San Bernardino. Tap in. Let's politic.